All right, so this is project 1 for module 4. It's called the Mendoza Group. The scenario that we're working with is that there is a business manager for the Mendoza Group, and they do commercial real estate development. And so we have they have different buildings downtown that could be renovated as mixed-use properties for offices, retail stores, and housing. So we're going to create a loan analysis that summarizes information about the loans to cover the cost of the buildings. So in this spreadsheet, we have one's called loan analysis, another one is called property details, and another one is business expansion. We're going to start with the loan analysis. And one thing we'll note about the loan analysis is that we do have named ranges. So they have been named. So if we look here, C7 is called price. So the price is, we can see up here in the name box that it was named. So this allows us to do absolute cell referencing for specific cells. And instead of saying C7 and making it absolute, we could just type in the word price. And if we do a drop down here, we can see that there's a whole bunch. So loan amount we have another one, it's over here on a different page. We have loan period, it's on this page as well. So as soon as I find the name that I'm looking for, it will shoot it right to that cell. Okay, so we do have named ranges that are here. We want to create some defined names, so we're going to use defined names in formulas as well. All right, so we're going to create a defined name for cell C9. So here you notice that it says it's C9. There's a couple of ways of doing that. One way of doing it is that I click in C9 and I can just type up here and I can type the word loan amount. The other way I can do it is to select both cells right here. So select the name that I want and the cell that I want it in. I could also do it by selecting a lot of them, but I'll just do that for loan amount. So in loan amount, I'll go in there and I'll go to my formulas tab and I will create from selection. And it says when I click create from selection, it says create names from values in either the top row, left column, bottom row, or right column. And we can see here, left column is selected because that's the one that they suggested. And it's true because I have the loan amount on this side and I want the name, this cell, C9, to be called loan amount. Just saves me typing. And I'll say OK. And so then I'll select off. And you'll see that it did call it loan amount right there. Okay, so it called it loan amount. In cell C9, I'm going to put a formula in here to calculate the loan amount, but I'm going to use defined names in the formulas. Okay, so I'm going to put in a formula without a function, which just means I'm going to type in equals, and I want to subtract the down payment from the price. So I'm going to type in price minus the down payment. Now, you'll notice that it shows up right here. This is a named. You can see how it's got sort of cells and it's sort of bluey. That means that it has a name attached to it. So it's not a function that we're using, but it's a name. Now, if you push tab, it will autofill it for you. If you push enter, it will not, okay? So I'm going to push tab, and tab finishes typing it up for me. I could use my arrow keys to select it and then press tab, and that would work too. So it's price minus down payment. Okay, so that makes it easy for us to see, and I'll just push enter. Makes it easy for us to see in the formula. It says price minus down payment is easier to see than, C7 minus C8, right? That doesn't mean anything to us, but this does. Okay, so that's the first thing we want to do. We also want to use defined names in other calculations. So we need to define some more names. So from E5 to E9, we want, so these guys here, we want to have names, and it's going to be based on the values in D5 to D9. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing that we did over here with our loan amount. We're going to select all of the data that we want. We can see rate. We want this to be called rate. We want this one to be called terms in month. And we'll go up and we'll create from selection. And once again, it has the left column. We want it to be the left column. And so, in other words, I want this E9 to be called total cost. Okay, so I'll say okay. And it does that. And then if I click on my E9, you can see that it shows that it's total cost. Okay, so then I can use that in a formula. Okay, so we need to calculate the monthly payment for the loan purchase right here. We want to calculate the monthly payment. So we're going to use the formula for payment. So that equals PMT. So I am just going to push tab to get the payment. And we want to have the rate divided by 12. So rate, and so it's selected rate, right? We want to divide that by 12. And then for the NPER argument that we see up here, for the NPER argument, we want to use the term in months to specify the number of periods. So we're going to use term, and it's already selected right down here, the term in months. So it's taken the amount of years or whatever. So it knows exactly what the term is in months. So I'm going to push tab. So it's 240 right there. And for the present value argument, we're going to use the loan amount. So I'm just going to type in loan amount, and I can see that there's two loan amounts. This loan amount, I bet you one's from another sheet here, but we want loan underscore amount. And then we want to have a negative, so we want the answer to come out as a negative, or sorry, as a positive and not a negative, so we're going to put a negative just before the payment. Okay, so that's going to give us our payments that we have. So we have a rate of 5.25 divided by 12, of course, because it's going to be a monthly, compounded monthly. And our term in months is 240 months, and our loan amount is going to be the 4 million. So we'll just push enter, and our monthly payments are 31,000 and some. In E8, we have a total interest. We want to enter a formula in here without a function as well, and it's going to multiply the monthly payments by the term in months. So basically that says, well, how much are we paying? And then once how much we're paying, and then we're going to subtract, and then we're going to subtract how much the loan was for. So that'll give us our total interest. So we have equals our monthly payment. Now, if I select monthly payment cell here, right, it comes up as monthly payment because that cell is named monthly payment. So I can just click on the cell, and it's our monthly payment times the terms in months. So I'll just select times the terms in months minus the loan amount. Okay, so that's going to tell us how much interest we had. So we're going to pay a lot of interest. And so in cell E9, we are going to enter a formula for total cost that adds the price to the total interest. So we're going to add those two, so that equals the price of the property, not just what we borrowed, right? Because we had our down payment as well. Price plus our total interest. All right. So now we have our loan payments. They're set up nicely to go. And we can, of course, reuse this sheet as much as we wanted to. So next, we want to compare monthly payments for interest rates that vary from, as we can see here, we have a varying interest rates and we have a varying number of months. So we're going to have a data table with column and row inputs. So we want to enter for, there it is. This is going to vary interest rates from 4.75 all the way to 5.95. And for the terms 180 months all the way to 360 months for those 3 periods. So the structure is here. We don't have to redo it, which is nice. So we're going to create a 2 variable data table that provides the comparison. Okay, so in B13, right here, we're going to put a formula in B13 that uses this. So we're going to tell B13 that this references the monthly payments. Okay, so I'm just going to put an equals this cell right here. Okay, so it equals monthly payments because we want to compare the monthly payments. And we're going to create or select the data table that we wanted to go in there. So what we're looking at is what is the change in our monthly payments if there are a couple of variables, right? If kind of we have a interest rate of 4.75 and maybe 240 months or 360 months. Okay, so we're going to create a 2 variable data table that's going to use that. So we're going to go to data and we're going to do a what if analysis and we're going to create a data table. So we have to make sure, before we do it, we have to make sure that we select this formula that we got going on in B13 as well as the rest of the data tables. Okay, so we're going to go data table. And we have 2 choices. We can go with one. We can either do a row or a column, or we can do both. And for us, we have a 2 data input table. So we have a row input. Okay, so if we think about our row input is our E6, right? So our row input is E6. So we can see, I mean, I could select that. So I could select that as well. So let's just select E6. It's right here, our terms in month. And our column input is going to be our rate. So our row was on this row 13 and our column is on column B. Okay. So now this is a data table that's going to show us the differences. Okay, based upon how the interest rate changes and what the number of months are. So then we just simply say, okay, and it comes out and says, okay, well, if we go for 360 months and at 14.85, then it is going to be $24,537 for our monthly payment. Okay, so we've got that in there. This is a data table. We're going to do a conditional formatting so that we can see whichever one we got going on here, we can see down here. So we'll do a conditional formatting that lists which interest rate we're working on. So in the list, create a conditional formatting. Okay, then we'll do this one from B13 to, from B14 to B26, B14 to B26. There we go, down there. We are going to go to our Home tab and Conditional Formatting. And we want to do a Highlight Cell Rules to highlight the listed rate that matches the rate for the riverfront. So it is going to be equal to, and we will select this cell right here, the rate cell. Okay, so we want it based upon the rate cell, and we're just going to change that to green fill with dark green text. So it gives us an indication of which interest rate we've calculated it for up there. Okay, I'll say okay. So now if this changes to say 5.55, it would change the conditional formatting right down here to say, okay, that's the one we're working on. So go back, 5.25, I'll put that back in. Okay. So we just want to do some color stuff. We want to change the color of the left, right, and bottom borders in B11 to E26. So I'll just select all that, E11 to B26. No, B11 to E26. And we're just going to go up into the borders. And I'll go to more borders. And we want to change the borders to blue accent 1. So I'm going to change the color blue accent 1, that color right there. And I want the left, right, and bottom borders. So the left, the right, and the bottom borders to that color. Doesn't say that it needs to be something different, so I'll do that. So it's got the same colors. All right. So now it says that after the Mendoza Group purchased the Riverfront Drive building, it needs to renovate the property. Okay, so we got some renovation stuff going on over here. We have 3 options for funding the renovation. In the first scenario, right, so this is the first scenario, she could borrow an additional funds for basic renovation and then pay the full loan amount after 5 years. She wants to determine the monthly payment for the first scenario. Okay, so a monthly payment. So in this case, we are going to determine the monthly payment, and we are going to, she doesn't say to use the named ranges. Now, I'm not going to because she doesn't say to use it, but normally we would, right? Okay, so I'm going to use the payment function. So equals PMT tab. And in this case, we have our information right here. And actually, these aren't the ones that are over here. So we're just gonna click on them. So we want to use the monthly interest rate right here in H7. And then I'll push comma. The loan period in months, we'll choose this one, is 60, which is H9. And the loan amount is going to be H5. And I'm going to make sure, oh no, I'm going to leave it as a negative. We'll let it come out as a negative because the other one is, okay? So we've got our formula in there. So H7 is our rate, H9 is our number of periods, and H5 is our present value, and our rate came out as a negative, which is fine. So that is doing our payment. In here I can see what we're going to do. We're going to do the loan amount. So LaTanya could borrow money for a more extensive renovation and pay back the loan in 10 years instead of 5. She could also reduce her monthly payments to $15,500 with an annual interest rate of 5.15%. And she wants to know the loan amount if she does this, okay? So we're going to use the present value function. So equals present value. And the rate we're going to use the monthly interest rate again. So monthly interest rate. The number of periods in months is going to be the loan period in months. And we're going to use the monthly payments as our payment. So you got a payment here, and I'm going to just click that for payments. And I'll close the brackets, although I don't have to, it will close it for me. So we can see that's going to be a more extensive renovation, worth $1.451 million. Okay. In the third scenario, she's going to go for 12 years, but now let's look at what's happening. They can fund the major renovation by paying back the loan over 12 years with monthly payments of $15,000 and then renegotiating better terms. She wants to know the amount remaining on the loan after 12 years or the future value of the loan. Okay, so after 12 years, she wants to know what's the future value of the loan. Okay, so we're going to use future value equals future value, tab our rate. This one is a monthly rate. And so J7, the number of periods is going to be 144. And our payment is our monthly payment. Okay, so because it's built so nicely, it's really easy to ask those questions. All right. So, just got to make it a little bit bigger. My cell was too small. So now we have the future value. So these are our scenarios that we're looking at. This gives some analysis of the loan. All right. So we want to, or she wants to, print a part of this loan analysis workbook. So we're going to set row as the print titles for the worksheet. So we're going to do a page layout and we're going to do some print titles. And in the print titles, she wants to set row 4, so rows to repeat at the top is going to be row 4. So I'll just click on row 4 and you see it says $4, $4. And we're going to set the range G4 to J12 as the print area. Okay, so in the print area, I'm going to select G4 to J12 as the print area. And then I'll just say OK because it's set. So what that means is if I do a print preview when I do this, it will just show up as the renovation here and it just shows that area. And if I had a whole bunch of information, then that row would repeat on the next page as well. Okay, so I'll back it up. Make sure it's done. Yes, yes, done, done. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to simply, if you have some information, property details, etc., we're going to just hide this sheet. I just don't want to show it anymore. So we're just going to right mouse button click on it and hide it. Okay, so now it looks like we only have 2 sheets in there. But if I didn't want to do that, if I wanted to unhide it, I can just go anywhere and I can unhide that sheet and it will show me which ones are hidden and I could choose to unhide that sheet if I wanted to. Okay, but I am going to hide it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the business expansion. Okay, got an extra payment thing going on here. This contains details about a loan that the company is considering for the business expansion. It contains an error. As we can see, there's a value here. We want to check this error, and then trace the precedence of the formula in cell I19 or I9. So what we do when we do this kind of stuff, I always never find. I always have to look for it because formulas, there it is, check precedence. So we're going to trace our precedence. What is dependent upon, or what is this one using? So we can see that this formula in here that says G4 times G5 is scheduled payment times scheduled number of payments. So it has an error of G5 and G, but what it's doing is it's multiplying by the text and not like it should be I, and so I4 and I5. It shouldn't be multiplying like the word scheduled payment times scheduled number of payments. Okay, so we need to fix this error. And so now I can just change it, and I can say that equals this times this. Okay, so it now has the correct formula. So if I trace it again, now it's like, okay, he's using those. Okay, so that was the error that it had. And finally, on this one, we're going to go to, we want to draw attention to the optional extra payment in E10 right here by adding a thick outside border. Okay. We'll go down. I like to go just to more borders. I like to use that the most. We want a thick outside border, so I'm going to go with blue accent 1. So I have my blue accent 1, thick, and outline border, outside border, and I'll say okay. All right. So that is it for this one. So we have our loan analysis, we created our named ranges, we created our data tables, we did our monthly payments, we did a future value, we did a present value, and a few other things. So you can change the names to be the correct naming functions and then upload that to Cengage.